FedEx Forum, and the American Home Shield Studio. This is The Odds Couple on GrindCityMedia.com. Handicapping all the football action, here's Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Hello, good people. Welcome to The Odds Couple, Week 12 of the football season. We got some SEC and some NFL to talk about today. Lance Taylor will join us. We'll have our picks. We'll go down all the trends for the action this weekend as well. That's all coming up here on The Odds Couple today. Hello, Lang Whitaker. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Is that why you wore the number 12 jersey today?
Number 12 for Week 12.
Yeah,
This would be touchdown Tony Banks.
Ooh.
Just a horrible Rams quarterback.
Yeah,
And Ravens quarterback, for that matter.
I remember.
Yeah, he was turnover prone. I don't know why they called him touchdown.
It was ironic.
But I got
should be turnover Tony.
turnover
Banks.
Tony. Exactly. Roser, how are you?
I'm great, man.
Good.
Great. We've had some games canceled this week, but it doesn't feel like as many as we had canceled last weekend. So.
Yeah, at least in the SEC. Thank goodness.
Right.
CJ Hurt here as well. Hello, CJ. How are you, sir?
I was doing real well until I realized I went 1-5 last week. That's the CJ I know and love. Let's go.
It's back.
About time.
And well, we'll get to it, I guess, coming up later. But
What, Michigan?
Yeah, I don't understand your pick today. But we'll get to that coming up later in the show. What have we learned? What did we learn in Week 11?
Not to listen to Roser when it comes to betting on the Mac.
MACtion got us this week.
Hey,
I was with you, Roser.
I did I went 2-2 in the MAC this week. I did 2-2.
You were 0-1, the one that you tried to get us on.
I went 2-2. Well, look, I would still take that pick 100 times out of 100.
It was 35-3.
Yeah,
You'd
and
lose
then
it
they
100 times out of 100
and then
too.
they let the garbage time Bowling Green touchdowns get in their way. I get mad respect to Kent State because they don't care who they're playing. They're just going to try to run it up. 62 points, then 69, nice. In back-to-back weeks, they know where it's at. Also, Western Michigan, they might be a cash cow too. Just bet the over in their games.
The thing that killed me was Buffalo was up, I think it was 25 at the end of the game, and they kicked it, and Bowling Green had the ball with 2 minutes left, and I was like, all right, we need a pick six here to cover. Mm-hmm. Bowling Green's down 25. They ran the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just weak. Like that's a losing mentality from Scott Loeffler, their coach. Like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, for the second week in a row, I'll tell you about a buddy of mine. Chased the game. It was 25, or it was 18, with like 4 minutes left. Buffalo had the ball at the 20, losing the bet. Say, all right, let's go ahead and take the 18.5 with Bowling Green. Buffalo's not going to. And then the dude runs one for 70. Like 2 plays later.
Yeah.
Oh, don't chase. Don't chase.
You lose twice.
You lose twice. That
Yeah.
would be my advice today. That's what I learned this week. Don't chase. It was a interesting week last week. There weren't many games played in the Southeastern Conference because of cancellations. Only 3 games were played. 4 games were postponed. Last week, however, Ole Miss did get a win. They got Will Muschamp fired as well as they knocked off South Carolina. Lane Kiffin, after the game, talking about his quarterback, Matt Corral, who had a monster game and the win over SC.
Well, I mean, the guy had the most efficient game in the last 6 years of college football. Last time he played, and he came out tonight and was pretty close to it again. So it's awesome to see him play this way. It wasn't much fun on defense, but like we said, man, thank God that we had opportunity to play. So many people didn't get a chance to play, and every 4 players play like it's your last game. And so it was frustrating on defense. They did a great job running the ball, and luckily the offense bailed us out today.
This train's not going to slow down anytime soon, is it?
We're going to have to stop some people at some point, but it's fun right now.
Yeah, they got to stop somebody.
It ran over Will Muschamp, so.
That's what I was gonna say. We got 2 really good things out of this game. One, we got a coach got fired, which
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well,
$13 million to do nothing is fine. Like, that's a dream.
Yeah, you see his buyout, and you don't feel so bad for Will Muschamp. The other one is, like the Air Jordan shirts, they have the big Jordan logo, and they say Jordan on them. There are ones going around now that have been made that say Kiffin and it's basically the Air Jordan logo, but instead of the basketball being held out, it's a clipboard going in the air. We got that out of this game too.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ole Miss will not play this week.
Yeah, I know, because one person for Texas A&M has COVID. It's one player that has it, and so they put the whole team in quarantine for contact tracing. Well, get out of here.
You know how it spreads, right?
Man up, A&M. Man up.
Oh, no.
Play the game.
And then have it spread to everybody?
Yeah,
they'll be fine. They're college kids.
Johnny, COVID's a hoax.
We don't know what's going on.
I'm not. It's a hoax. I'm not. It's a hoax. But I think some of the contact tracing rules that these conferences are going by is pretty ridiculous.
If we're going to trust a doctor, it's going to be Dr. Roser here. So
yes, I am. I'm not a doctor. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night because we were here really late.
That's right. Meanwhile, the Florida Gators, they rolled last week over Arkansas in a game that you thought would be a little closer, and Florida put 63 on the board against this Arkansas defense, an Arkansas defense that has been very good. Kyle Trask was just a monster in this game as he continues to make a statement for Heisman Trophy consideration. Afterwards, he was on ESPN talking about the win.
We just got so many weapons, and even when Kyle was in, sometimes they would double team him, but that left someone else one-on-one, and it was a lot more of that today, just people winning their matchups and making plays.
What has the season been like for you to have the success that you are, to have the attention that you are, and really be getting your opportunity?
It's been great so far. Like I said before, I just try to stay out of all the outside noise. I try to just stay locked in and just grind on my preparation and take it 1 week at a time.
Do you guys feel like you have the best offense in the country?
I think we have a great offense, and I think we do a great job of just getting the job done every week.
They're impressive and they're dangerous offensively. They remind me a little of LSU last year, that they can just outscore people.
And they're going to have to, because their defense is like, I was going to say like LSU's last year, but LSU's was a little better last year. But they're going to have to outscore people, and they can. That hasn't been a problem for them all year, and it might be good enough to get them all the way there. At least till they play Alabama. We'll see when that happens. But they're the team to beat right now in the SEC East for sure.
Yeah, no, so I did. That was very. Arkansas's defense has been really good all year. Yeah. That was very impressive, putting up over 60 on them. We talked about Alabama, how if you're going to beat Alabama, you better score in the 50s because they're going to score 40 something on you every game, and Bama can score in the 50s. It's the same way with Florida too. You better score a ton of points to beat them. I saw Kyle Trask. I think is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I will say I put little wagers on Florida. I got 14-1 to win the national championship, and I got plus I think 250 or 260 to win the SEC, which they play Alabama. I can bet Alabama. You can hedge a little bit at that point, but Florida is man. They did all that without the Pitts kid. When they get him back, that's like a top 10 pick in the NFL draft right there that they're going to be getting back.
As far as betting for the SEC championship right now, obviously no value with Alabama. Yeah. And I think the two teams you really get a lot of value from are A&M and Florida. Now, the problem with A&M is they have a loss and Alabama beat them, so Alabama would have to lose twice. So that's not going to happen.
So if you're betting on any
but
team,
Florida, you get good value. Going with Florida.
You're getting plus money with Florida to take them. So if you don't want to bet Alabama and you want someone that you can get plus money with, Florida is the team to take. And I thought, look, there's a chance they can get in the college. If they beat Alabama, they're going to get in the college football playoff, and then it's going to come down to a really weird thing for the committee if they're going to have to choose between a one-loss Alabama and a one-loss Notre Dame. Now, I think they would go Alabama, but a one-loss Notre Dame team typically is going to get in there, but it would bring in – it'd be a dilemma for the committee.
Just throw Texas A&M in there also if they win out, right?
Well, they lost to Bama, so it wouldn't –
But they beat Florida.
Right, but if Florida wins the SEC championship, Florida's going to automatically get in as the SEC champion, and then you can't put A&M over them with a loss to Alabama.
I still think there's going to be two ACC teams in the Final Four.
So
County Notre Dame.
Yeah. So you think they would pick if Florida beats Alabama in the SEC championship, they would choose a one-loss Notre Dame over a one-loss Florida. If Notre Dame loses,
one-loss Alabama.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, at least.
But that's if Notre Dame loses to Clemson in the ACC title.
They're going to, yeah.
And Notre Dame, look.
They will.
And Notre Dame, and I know the team's been disappointing, but we know they have talent and firepower. Notre Dame's got North Carolina next weekend in Chapel Hill. That's going to be a tough game. That's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
You mentioned needing to score 40 if you're going to beat Florida. Well, Vanderbilt's got that task this week. Vanderbilt is a 31-point dog to the Gators this week. Florida 11-4-1 against the spread in their last 16 games, 9-3 against the spread as a favorite. Vanderbilt 3-12 against the spread their last 15 at home. They've lost 16 straight against top 10 opponents. Head-to-head, Florida's won 6 straight, 14 straight in Nashville. Also, Florida has covered 5 of the last 6 at Vanderbilt. The road team's covered 9 of the last 12, so everything leaning towards Florida, even with the big number. Meanwhile, Arkansas, they got LSU this week, and those numbers have flip-flopped. Arkansas was the favorite. Now LSU is the favorite in that one. LSU 7-1 against the spread following a loss. They've covered 7 of their last 8. Straight up, following their last 44 losses, LSU is 40-4. Ed Orgeron, perfect. 12-0 following those last 12 losses.
Well, Sam Pittman's back on the sidelines this week. You better watch out. Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, South Carolina returns to action without their head coach, and it's Mike Bobo now who's the head coach. That's exciting.
How you like that?
That's miserable.
Lang knows all about Mike Bobo.
Yeah.
Will Muschamp didn't work at Florida, doesn't work at South Carolina.
Yeah, it didn't work anywhere. And at this point, I think if you're South Carolina, you got to go offense, right? You got to find a coach.
Yes. Every team in the country needs to go that route.
I mean, and the clear answer is Hugh Freeze. However, do you think there's apparently the president of South Carolina is very conservative, really big on family values,
morality,
type of things. Yeah, so I don't know. Like maybe Hugh Freeze is not the right call there. I've seen people mention the Coastal Carolina coach. I've seen
that'd be a great hire.
The 2 App State coaches that were there, Drinkwitz and Satterfield.
Billy Napier's been mentioned too.
Yeah, so there's local people you could go to, but I mean, if you want to win, Hugh Freeze is a no-brainer.
And Liberty is a Christian school too, and they
Hugh Freeze is conservative.
They hired and gave him a chance. Yeah, I mean, I think look, if you're South Carolina, I'd jump on it now because, Michigan's probably going to be open. Tennessee is going to be open. Tennessee could come open. If they continue just falling apart the way they are, I mean, and Auburn could still come
a loss.
open.
Auburn's possibly available again.
I mean, I think even for Auburn, we still have to look at like what happens when they play Alabama. If they play Alabama and they get absolutely smoked, it doesn't matter if Gus Malzahn wins every game now up until that Bama game. If they go into that game and they get smoked, he's going to be done.
Yeah, South Carolina back in action this week as they take on the Missouri Tigers. They were out last week due to a COVID postponement, but the Tigers are back and they've played better football. Their head coach is Eli Drinkwitz, and he talked about the team buying in.
But I think bigger picture, it gives credibility to what we've asked these guys to do. We've asked them to do things that are different. Not that what they did here was right or wrong. It's just what we're doing is different, and it's a different style. And we've asked people to really buy into it, whether it's players, coaches, administration, fans, and to see the results, to see us beat, a defending national champion, to see us end the streak of 5 years or longer. I think it just, it gives credibility to what we're trying to accomplish. And so it's good. It's a step.
Good step for Mizzou this week because they were this year. They were dreadful last year. Yeah, just dreadful. Despite me thinking they'd be 10-1.
They've been last year was just a disappointment, but they've just been kind of boring ever since they joined the SEC. Really, went to
the SEC championship twice. But
great.
But after that, after Gary Pinkel, Coach Odom didn't really take them anywhere.
Nobody has, and now I mean they've got to go somewhere. Hopefully, it's up.
Yeah, Mizzou taking on South Carolina. Missouri 3-9 against the spread. Their last 12 games, 0-6 against the spread when they've gone on the road. South Carolina, meanwhile, 4-0 against the spread when they score 40 or more points the previous week. How about that?
I have no opinion on this game. I have no idea what to expect.
Home team's covered 4 of the last 5, and South Carolina's covered 3 of the last 4. So
does South Carolina rally around the fact their coach is gone? Because they seem to have probably quit on him.
Maybe, because last week we were talking about them being the team that's just done.
They seem to like him, though. Like, I've watched on the SEC Network, they have that show where they go, like, inside of a team's program for a week, and there was one about South Carolina, and it seemed pretty popular. Like, all the guys liked him or, seemed to enjoy talking to him and all that stuff. So maybe they're just not very good.
Well, I mean, he's a meathead, so I mean, of course, they're really going to like him. I think. I mean, Muschamp from here on out, I think he's a high level defensive.
He's going to be Alabama's.
That's what I was thinking. He's going to be Alabama's defensive coordinator. I mean, he worked under Saban at LSU, wasn't it?
I think at Alabama.
Maybe at Alabama too, but I think I know he worked for him at LSU too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where South Carolina goes and where Will Muschamp will end up. Certainly a great defensive coach, and he'll have a job somewhere. All right, top 3 teams in the SEC. It's Bama, Florida, and who?
I mean, you just say this because you want me to say the words Texas A&M. I'm just not comfortable with those words coming out of my mouth in the context of this conversation. Yeah. So, but I don't know who else to pick. It's been like,
because the Georgia quarterback thing has become a thing.
Well, apparently JT Daniels is starting this week.
Oh, he's fine, I guess.
I saw it half an hour ago.
Yeah, he's starting. But we don't even know if he's good.
Well, I mean, he can't be worse than Stetson Bennett.
Right.
And they're playing Mississippi State, so it's a good time to run him out there. And worst case scenario, you beat him 7-3 or something. But I think he's going to be fine. He'll be good. He can't be worse than anybody else. So but even defensively, like Georgia's kind of banged up. They didn't look good against. They played a good offense, Florida, and got smoked. So I guess you have to go with.
Yeah,
Texas
A&M. The over-under in Georgia, Mississippi State should be like 32.
It's 44.5.
It's a low number.
And Georgia's favored by 25 of those 44 points.
Mississippi State can't score.
No, but Georgia's secondary is what's kind of banged up a little bit. So, maybe they throw a touchdown here or there.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, man. Mississippi State, they got outgained by Vanderbilt.
I mean,
Vanderbilt got more.
Tennessee
more yards
connected on like
did.
3 bombs against Georgia's secondary. So.
Yeah. State 0-5 against the spread their last 5 games, 3-10 against the spread their last 13 on the road, 0-7 against the spread against winning teams, 0-7 on the road against teams with a winning home record. So their numbers are just terrible. Meanwhile, Georgia 20-13 against the number against SEC opponents, 7-4 against the spread their last 11 as a favorite, 9-3 their last 12 in November. They're 72-5 straight up, their last 77 at home against unranked opponents. Head-to-head, Georgia's won 10 straight at home, 11 of the last 12 meetings, and the home team's covered 4 of the last 5, with 4 of the last 5 going under. So certainly leaning towards Georgia and the under 44.5 with the dogs and the dogs going at it this weekend.
A lot of dogs.
DMX's favorite game. Yeah, you got both dogs.
Yeah, so there you go. There are some of the games out of the SEC. We're going to take a break here on the program. When we come back, we'll look at some of the other action going around the country. We'll get picks from Lance Taylor. Our guest will join us when we come back. Also, we'll talk a little NFL. So that's coming up next here on The Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
I love the haircut. They tell me you've been getting beat up over it, Zach.
They say I look like I'm 25. I was in somebody said I was in Vegas. They said, "Is that Zion?" I said, "I paid away for little." I said, "That's my little brother."
Tune in to GrindCityMedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or on the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Chris live or download each episode daily, and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today.
The debate is whether he's a star or a superstar right now, which is what the headline and sort of the tweet suggests. But I'm liking that discussion right now with Ja Morant at point guard.
Tune in to GrindCityMedia.com to follow Michael Wallace and Lane Whitaker as they debate the biggest topics in the NBA, the Grizzlies, it's MACtion. Mike and Lane will share their humble opinions on the hottest league water cooler news, providing insight, analysis, and a little heat. Watch and read weekly by visiting GrindCityMedia.com or follow on Twitter at GrindCityMedia today. What's up, Grizzlies fans? I'm Megan Triplett, and I have some exciting news to share. We have a new app. That's right. It's a 3-in-1 experience that you don't want to miss out on. Check this out. The app will keep you up to date on all of the Grizzlies stats and latest news. If you're looking to see what events are going on at FedEx Forum, that can all be found on the app as well. Plus, if you want to see more of me and the rest of the Grind City Media team, like Chris Vernon, Lang Whitaker, and Mike Wallace, there's a section for all that. It is 365 days of content to keep you in touch with all things Grizzlies, FedEx Forum, and GCM. And did I mention you can also purchase and manage tickets on the app? The app does it all. Download it now.
Welcome back to GrindCityMedia.com, live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Now, here's more of the Odds Couple, Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, don't miss the newest Grind City Media show, Rise and Grind, with Jessica Benson and Megan Triplett. The duo brings a fresh, fun, and energetic double shot of morning vibes to catch you up on the latest in sports, entertainment, pop culture, and everything Memphis, with some completely biased, unfiltered discussions and a side of slightly above-average jokes. Tune in to GrindCityMedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or via the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch the show live, or download each episode daily and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Odds Couple, getting you set for the weekend in football. And when we look nationally, Indiana, they continue to roll. They rolled over Michigan State last week. How much are we believing in this Hoosiers team?
I have a friend who's a Hoosier grad.
Jason Potter?
Who just got a dog a couple months ago. And he said his dog's never seen Indiana lose a football game.
I feel like everybody's on Indiana this week, and the line's really not moving. And I think there are a couple reasons for that. The real reason Indiana's winning this year is turnovers. They're +8 in turnover differential. Their average distance of drives that they have to go on and touchdown drives is like 52.3 yards, so they're not having to drive the field very far. Penn State outgained them by like almost 300 yards. Penn State outgained them by over 2 yards per play. Michigan outgained them by 1.7 yards per play. But they've gotten turnovers, and they've capitalized over it. They've capitalized on them, and this will be the biggest challenge this weekend because Justin Fields, not only does he really not turn the ball over, he doesn't throw incompletions. He has more touchdowns than incompletions so far this season. So this will be their biggest challenge where, like we talked about it last week, I said, Ohio State, their defense is not nearly as good as it was last year, and they don't have J.K. Dobbins back there. They're kind of having to do it by committee with Master Teague and Steel Chambers, which is an amazing name, and Trey Sermon. And I think Chambers is actually the most talented out of all of them and really should be getting more carries. But Fields might be good enough to cover it all up and make up for it.
Yeah, it's interesting this week. Ohio State, a big favorite over Indiana. Indiana's 5-0 against the spread at Ohio State. They're 7-2 against the spread their last 9 games against the Buckeyes. Ohio State, meanwhile, in Week 12, 0-7 against the spread.
I mean, the question isn't...
This is like Week 3 for
It's
them.
Week 12 in college football. That's what the trend says.
The question isn't, is Indiana going to win? It's like, there's no way they're going to win the game, right? It's just what they're going to cover.
Yeah, we'll get to one of my picks later, but I tend to think there's going to be some scoring in this game.
20.5 for Ohio State. Here is the head coach of the Hoosiers, Tom Allen, following the shutout over Michigan State.
Just really proud of our team. Coming on the road, a lot of distractions this week, a lot of things that you have to deal with and learn how to stay locked in and focused in this environment that we're in and with the success we're starting to have and everything. So just really proud of our guys to come here. It's been a tough place for us to win over the years, and to get a shutout here is pretty special. That doesn't happen very often. And to get our 5th Big Ten win in a row, 4th of the season, is just really thing. It's a pretty awesome thing. So proud of our staff. Still, I thought it was ugly. I mean, I thought we were sloppy, and just really proud of our guys. I mean, that's just how you win football games, and you got to go on the road and win some other ones sometime.
Wisconsin's Northwestern this week as well. Another couple of undefeated Big Ten schools.
Yeah, this is. I'm really looking forward to this one. Because I think Because I don't because I feel like it's like, ooh, Wisconsin, and it's the same way with Indiana, how they beat Michigan. It's like, ooh, look what they did. They beat Penn State and Michigan, and then look how Wisconsin beat Michigan, and it's like, ooh, but now like where we are at the point where it's like, dude, neither one of those teams are good.
Yeah.
Like they're not good, and Michigan looks like they've just quit. Yeah. Like they look like they have totally given up on the
Penn
season.
State doesn't look much better.
No, Penn State looks awful too, and that Sean Clifford forgot how to play quarterback in the offseason, and he doesn't have KJ Hamler, he doesn't have his running backs anymore. I think Northwestern can win this game outright here. And I might already have them in a round robin.
Wisconsin's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. However, 1-5 against the spread when they take on Northwestern. 1-8 against the spread when they go to Evanston to take on the Wildcats. Northwestern has covered 4 of their last 5, with one of those being a push.
What is their number when they play a team that's a cat? Do you have that?
I don't have that, but I'll look that up for you by the end of the day.
Feline competition.
Feline competition, yes.
I'll try to come up with that if I can. That's an interesting one. Another interesting one this week out of the AAC, Cincinnati and Central Florida. A lot of people think this is when Cincinnati gets slowed down. I don't know. I've just eye test has made me believe in Cincinnati.
They're really good on defense. I think we all saw it against Memphis. And now, I mean, the only thing with Central Florida is they've been so up and down this year, but you kind of feel like they're that team that all of a sudden they're going to be capable of having a 40-point game, 45-point game or something like that. So I tend to think like this year is, at least in the AAC, this is the year for Cincinnati. Maybe this is the year they run the table.
Yeah, I feel good about the beginning of the season here on the show. I made my pick that I thought Cincinnati would win the AAC. One of the things that I don't think is getting talked about enough, Central Florida is like the most penalized team in the country. They have more false starts and offensive holding calls than like anyone, and
not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close. And
we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's the thing. Between Memphis, Houston, and SMU, like it doesn't matter if you play those teams. Like you may beat them, but they're going to score points on you. They're at least going to score 28 to 30 something points on you. And Cincinnati's not let. So UCF has this high-powered offense, but like Cincinnati has shown all season they can slow these offenses down. I mean, I think Cincinnati probably wins by 2 touchdowns.
Let's get the thoughts of our guest, Lance Taylor from WJOX in Birmingham, host of the Roundtable. Also, he's on Twitter at @TheLanceTaylor, and you can get his picks daily at lanceslock.com. He joins us here on the Odds Couple. Hello, Lance.
Good afternoon, fellas. Hope you guys are doing well.
Doing very well, as are the Florida Gators. That was impressive last week with what Arkansas has done up to this point, especially on the defensive side, to hang a 63 on them. It made it, not that I didn't feel it before, but it makes me feel like Florida's pretty dangerous, and a team that they remind you a little bit of LSU last year. They're going to score a lot of points and outscore people.
Yeah, they don't have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but, LSU really didn't have Kyle Pitts, who Florida didn't have last week. And that was the interesting thing, Rob, going into that game. People said Barry Odom, has done such a good job defensively, preparing for different teams. And without Pitts, this could be an interesting game. I don't think Florida was ever in doubt of people thinking they were going to lose that game. But to go out and have 36 first downs, 9 of 12 on third downs, almost 600 total yards, 83 plays, just 1 turnover, and you start to look at Kyle Trask, man. I mean, it's crazy because, I go back to 2010, and I didn't think we'd ever see a season like we saw with Cam Newton, the one season that was so special in Auburn en route to going 14-0 and winning a national championship, and Cam winning a Heisman. And then last year, Joe Burrow really topped it. But when you look through 7 games, the numbers are almost equivalent between Trask and Joe Burrow. I mean, 28 touchdowns for Trask, 25 for Burrow, 3 interceptions for each. But the QBR for Trask is actually better. Now, I know they've got the 1 loss. Can't really put that on Trask. But, Florida is squarely a top 5 team right now. And I think Kyle Trask is having one of the best seasons we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was an impressive performance against the Hogs last week, and Sam Pittman's back this week after missing last week's game because of a positive COVID test. He's back with the Arkansas Razorbacks. They got LSU coming to town. Interesting matchup. LSU has been dominant following losses, and they got that opportunity against Arkansas this week, and the line has flipped in this game.
Yeah, I don't know what to say here, and a lot of it is Felipe Franks' possibility he might not play, and Franks has been really solid at quarterback for Pittman, and if he doesn't play, then I guess I would lean LSU. You kind of know what you're going to get out of Arkansas, and LSU's been such a mixed bag. And just going back and looking at the numbers, they're 3-10 against the number against Arkansas since 2007, so they haven't been good against the number in this rivalry. And Arkansas has just been flat out really good at covering. They've covered 8 of their last 9 games, all as underdogs. If Franks plays, I'm all over Arkansas here. If he doesn't play, I probably back away and just stay away from it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at this game. Like, if Franks plays, yeah, you take Arkansas because I think Arkansas is going to have the better quarterback in the game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, T.J. Finley had his moment against South Carolina, but Franks has got a ton of experience, Roser, and I think you're dead on here. But, we saw Arkansas last year without Franks. And, look, and I still think it's going to be a better product, whoever's going to be that quarterback, but they had an awful quarterback last year play, and I just don't trust it unless Franks is the guy. So it's either stay away or play Arkansas for me.
This week, Tennessee, they're back in action. They go to Auburn, an Auburn team that, I don't know, they I guess they've done really well against teams that they should really beat, and they have, and this is one that they should probably beat up pretty good. Double-digit line, however.
Yeah, but we haven't seen Auburn in a while. And, they had a little momentum, but it was against bad defenses. They were lucky to escape Ole Miss. There was a controversial play there at the end. The referees probably missed what should have been a fumble. And now you're looking at Auburn laying the 11 points. And Jared Garantano has been, I don't even want to call him an average quarterback. I don't know how you guys would sum him up, but, the bottom line is maybe.
Below average,
maybe his best start was against Auburn in 2018. He goes 328, a couple of touchdowns. They're 1-5 against the number this year. And Bo Nix, a guy that I would say is, if we go Garantano below average, I would say Bo Nix has had an average career. But the last couple of outings against Ole Miss and, again, against an LSU team that looks like it's kind of tapped out, he's completed at least 75% of his passes. They're 10-3 against the number their last 13 versus unranked teams since 2018. I've got a feeling that Tennessee is going to scratch and claw here. I don't think they win this game, but I think 11 points is probably too many. I'm going to take the Volunteers, take the points here.
Taking the Vols. The big one in the Big Ten this week, we've talked a little bit about it already. Indiana taking on Ohio State. It's a huge number for a top 10 matchup, but I don't know. What do we believe in Indiana?
I mean, Indiana is obviously a pretty good team. This number is 20.5 for a reason. I mean, Indiana can't beat, and I guess it goes back to a lot of different teams. We saw it against Michigan, too. They hadn't had a lot of success against Michigan, and this seems 2020 is a different year. And Fryfogel's a really good wide receiver. Stevie Scott's solid back. Michael Penix is starting to play good at the quarterback position. But they've lost 26 straight games to top 5 teams. Ryan Day, you look at his 19th straight regular season game, he's been favored. He's 13-5 in those numbers. It looks like the public is going to get all over Indiana plus 3 touchdowns. I think Ohio State will have their way with this Indiana defense. I lay the points here. I think they're covering at halftime. I think they win this game by 35 plus.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Lance. National Football League this week. What are you looking at? You got some good matchups this weekend.
Yeah, there are pretty good matchups. You look in the AFC, and there's so much talent over there. And when you look at the NFC, we're trying to find that best team. And I think a couple of weeks ago, everybody was saying it was Tampa, and then the Saints take them to the woodshed, and then Drew Brees goes out. We don't know when he's going to come back, if he's going to come back. And they're laying points against Atlanta, and, it's probably Jameis Winston. I still like the Saints in this spot. If it's Winston, if it was Hill, I probably wouldn't. But Winston's got enough experience against an Atlanta team at home under a touchdown. I would like that. But my favorite game is probably the Indianapolis Colts. And, I start to look at Green Bay. I think they've got a lot of flaws. Alan Lazard will be back this week. But the Packers have only played one team with a winning record this year, and they lost that game by 4 touchdowns to the Bucs. And this is just a Colts team that's got a legitimate defense. Obviously, Phillip Rivers has got a ton of experience. Colts at home -1.5. I think you're getting a lot of value here.
Sounds great. Lance, how can people get your picks every day?
Yeah, jump on board, fellas. I try to be transparent. Last Saturday was my worst Saturday in the history of all Saturdays, I think. That was awful. There's no way around it. I was 4-1 in the NFL, though. We had 3 consecutive winning weeks now in the NFL. So we're going to get back on track on Saturday. Unacceptable. Don't really know what happened. We lost some heartbreaking games. Games like Baylor, they controlled that entire game and ended up losing to Texas Tech. We were on Washington State. That game falls apart. We had the USC-Arizona over. That was another one of those really difficult games. We had Virginia Tech against Miami. We had that over in Virginia Tech, Miami. So some really tough losses last week. We will bounce back. It's only $90 per day. Lance'sLock.com. Again, you'll never talk to anyone. We won't solicit you. We're in year 6. We've won every single year. Coming off a rough Saturday. The NFL were red hot, but we will win this weekend. Get on board, Lance'sLock.com.
Sounds great. Lance, always a pleasure, man. Thank you much.
Yeah, and look, and just for the record, Roger, I know you guys have heard it a million times, the Masters updates. Hey, I saw it last year. It was great last year. Even better this year. And I don't know if you guys can win an award for that. I don't know if there's like a short Emmy video. There needs to be a nomination, but that was incredible.
I think this year the quality jump was partly because last year I was the walrus behind Chris. And this year
I've always wondered, who are the mascots that are dressed up? But it's funny because my kid, they don't give a rat's ass about the Masters, but I show them the video. I show the girlfriend the video. She doesn't care about anything. And everyone, and I'm sure you guys get the same reaction. It doesn't matter. Even if you're a sports fan, there's just something about that video that is it's absolutely hilarious.
Well, because golf is typically pretty boring, and these videos are not boring.
Yeah, and the best part, Lance, is seeing these guys after they're done. The guys who take off, the sweat running down everyone, the exhaustion, it is unbelievable.
He almost killed us
I can't even imagine. And we know how stuffy and old and boring just everyone involved with the Masters are. And I just wonder behind the scenes, some of those billionaires, that have seen that video, what their reaction was.
I know the play. So we know Brooks Koepka has seen him and he loved him. We know Brooks Koepka saw him and he loved him. So
I did see that. I saw that Koepka and his girlfriend had been watching the videos and they thought they were hilarious. But I just wonder for the old, stuffy white dude that has trust funds for centuries, what that guy thought about your video.
Oh, they didn't get it. No chance.
Yeah, they didn't.
Zero chance.
They didn't understand it. They're upset that he didn't say patrons.
That we did not mention Saracen Bridge, Gene Saracen Bridge.
You guys do live updates from outside of the gates next year.
Yeah.
It was classic.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Lance, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the game. See
All
ya.
right, buddy. Lance Taylor joining us again. Get his picks daily at lanceslock.com, and you can hear him each morning on the roundtable on WJOX. Some great matchups in the NFL this week, including the Rams beating Seattle last week. They got the Bucs this week, and a big matchup there with Los Angeles and Tampa Bay. After last week's win over the Seahawks, here's Sean McVay in the locker room.
But I feel so good about where you guys are at. We still have a long way to go, but I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Yay! Always good when practice is canceled.
Yeah, the NFL players, they love it when they hear we'll see you on Wednesday. Russell Wilson is now 3-8 in his last 11 against the Rams. He is 37-17-1 against the rest of the NFC.
And this week playing the Cardinals, of course, that's going to be a very difficult one. And the Cardinals beat him in overtime earlier.
Yeah, and Wilson did. I tend to think Seattle bounces back big against the Cardinals. They just because of how they lost to him the first time, and Wilson's coming off one of the worst games he's ever played.
Impressive thing with the Rams has been their defense. Their defense just looks better every time you see them.
Last year we thought their defense was going to be lights out. Yeah,
right. And Tampa's been kind of weird where. The weeks that they've looked bad, they've looked miserable.
Yeah.
And then the weeks that they look good, they look great.
Yeah. I think it's when Tampa's, they're a veteran team and they get down a couple touchdowns, they're like, all right,
mail it in.
Yeah, let's get till next week.
And then going back to the Rams, you have two legit all pros that Probably they are the best at their respective positions in the entire league, and you've got Aaron Donald up front and Jalen Ramsey, who can just shut down one side of the field. You've got a big time receiver; he can lock them down. A lot of people were concerned when they gave that big money to Jalen Ramsey and what they gave up to get him, but he has been phenomenal this year.
All right, we'll take a break here on the Odds Couple. When we come back, we'll talk a little Tigers. They're back in action this week here in Memphis, and we'll also have our picks for the week. It's all ahead here on the Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
Hey yo, happy Friday. It's time to rise and grind. I'm Jessica Benson.
Did you say hey yo?
Hey yo. I'm Megan.
It's a
Friday.
Come on.
We have a big show lined up for you today. We've got all sorts of things to talk about within the NBA bubble, NFL updates, college football updates.
We got to get to some pop culture news. It's the music, the entertainment, everything going on.
All the stories to get you through today and into your weekend.
Rise and Grind with Jessica and Megan. Live daily at 8 a.m. on grindcitymedia.com.
In everything we do, defensive activity, offensive execution, play together, have an edge about us. Just play with an edge. Play with an edge and play together.
Durant, block for Jared. Blocked by James. Dylan Brooks with authority. Tyus Jones to Brandon Clark. A turn and gun. He got it. Jones for three. Stolen, blocked by Jared.
Yeah, stay together, Blue. Stay together. Way to roll me, kid. Let's leave it out there.
John Morant with elevation.
Once a week, get your basketball fix with Talkin' Grizz featuring me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, and media from around the NBA as we discuss draft topics, prospects, and more. Connect with Grind City Media on all their social channels, subscribe to Grind City Media YouTube, and follow Grind City Media on Twitter and Instagram to stay up to date with all things Grizzlies.
Welcome back to the Odds Couple on grindcitymedia.com. Live from FedEx Forum and the American Home Shield Studio. Here's the Odds Couple, Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.
Hey, get your daily sports, pop culture, and Grizz fix with insider news and commentary on all things sports and more with the Chris Vernon Show, now live at noon daily, Monday through Friday. Tune in to grindcitymedia.com, Grind City Media on YouTube, or via the official Grizzlies mobile app to catch Chris live, or download each episode daily and subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud today. Welcome back to the Odds Couple. The Memphis Tigers are back in action this week after last week's game was postponed due to COVID testing with Navy. The Tigers are back this week as they host Steve F. Austin this week. And the Tigers are a big favorite, 30.5 over Stephen F. Austin with a total at 58.5. Ryan Silverfield on his opponent this week.
Excited for Stephen F. Austin. We talk about a competitive team that's on a hot streak. They've had a lot of success. They lead the country in turnovers. We know they're going to bring it. They got a lot of D1 transfers, so our guys are focused at this game just like they would any other. We got to finish up strong academically as exams start later this week. So it's where a lot of our focus is as well. But proud of our guys' mindset. We just got to keep churning along.
Yeah, they are on a hot streak because Stephen F. Austin now 6-3 on the season. They have won 6 straight games against. You ready for this?
Yeah, that's
West Texas A&M.
Oh,
Angelo State.
I think
where is that?
I think I went to middle school with him.
Abilene Christian. Western State.
Western State.
That
sounds like a school from like a movie.
Yeah,
Scott Bakula was there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Eastern Kentucky and Pittsburgh State. That's their big win streak. Their 3 losses coming to UTEP, UTSA, and Southern Methodist, SMU.
Well,
they lost 50-7.
It's always suspicious when it's a state, but it's not a state.
If you think,
it's a directional state, West State.
If you think, based on what we've seen this season, that I'm going to pick Memphis to cover a spread, you're out of your mind.
I am because we'll get to that.
Yeah, Memphis has been horrible covering. However, they are 9-3 against the spread in the month of November. Their last 12, they've won 14 straight November games. They're also 9-1 against the spread the last 10 years in Week 12. It's a week that the Tigers have dominated.
What about when they place schools named after humans?
I don't know. They've won. They've won 7 straight games against FCS opponents, outscoring them 49.5-14. And the last 6 as a favorite, they've gone under. Meanwhile, Stephen F. Austin 3-13 against the spread in their last 16 games. 3-10 against the spread their last 13 as an underdog as well. So not good numbers there. Maybe the Tigers can get a cover. The Tigers have only covered 1 game so far this season.
Yeah.
All right, time for our picks. Now, this week we will start. I'll go ahead and start with mine because I'm going to set a trend of no one else picking the same ones that I'm picking. I'm going with LSU, man. They are favored now, and I'm going with the Tigers to rebound because Ed Orgeron is 10-0 or 12-0 following losses. They'll make it 13-0. LSU wins it by more than 2. I'm going with UCF, the underdog, against Cincinnati. They're at home. They're getting 3.5 points. I think this is the week that they score a lot, and they will at least cover. It's going to be a shootout with Cincinnati. I'm taking Ohio State. I'm like Lance. I don't think this one's close. I'm also with Lance on the Colts. -2.5 against the Packers this week. The Packers have been terrible in the past. When you look at the trends as far as playing the Colts, 0-4-1 in their last 5 straight up, and they haven't covered any of them either. And the Buccaneers, I'm going over the Rams. Bucks are a tough team to figure week in and week out. Is it the great Bucks or the bad Bucks? But it's going to be tough against that Rams defense. But I'll go with Tampa -3.5. Lang?
Okay. Well, this is usually when I say, Rob, I agree with most of your.
Nothing.
Yeah, this week I don't. I'll go with Arkansas with the 2 points. I just feel like it's a good bounce back week for them, and they get Pittman back, and LSU's been a mess all year. Cincinnati, I think they're real. I think they're a good team, and UCF. This has not been a typical UCF year. They've struggled some this year, so I'll go Cincy. Indy's getting 20 against Ohio State, and Ohio State's been awesome, but I think the Indiana's going to say, "Who's your daddy?" It's us. Sorry, that was terrible. And then I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be good enough. The Colts, I watched them a couple weeks ago, and their defense was better than I expected them to be. They're really fast defensively, but I just think Aaron Rodgers is too much for them. And then the Rams are rolling, and defensively they're really good. And the Bucs, we know they give up a touchdown or 2, and they just fold it up, wait till next week. So I'll roll with the Rams. Roser?
I'm going to bank on Felipe Franks is going to play, so I will take Arkansas in this. I think Arkansas will have the better quarterback if Franks plays, so I'll roll with that. Cincinnati, look, I've seen Cincinnati stop these high-powered offensive teams all year, so I will roll with Cincinnati. They have given me no reason to pick against them at all this year. I think Ohio State is going to absolutely run Indiana. I don't think Ohio State. I don't think Indiana can stop them. Is going to be able to stop them from scoring. And I think this is the first game where it is a top 10 matchup. And I think you're going to see Ohio State have their antennas up a little bit for this one. I do agree with you. Indianapolis is good. Like their defense is good. And I wonder what they could have been if they would have signed somebody like Teddy Bridgewater rather than Phillip Rivers. Like they could be a Super Bowl contender at that point. But I will roll with Green Bay because I'm going to trust Aaron Rodgers more than I trust Phillip Rivers. And look, the Buccaneers are only bad against the Saints. So they're not playing the Saints this week. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay minus the 3.5.
CJ.
Wish I could change my pick. That is some good logic right there, Rosa, on that last one. I'm going to take Arkansas first things first. Sam Pittman is back on that sideline, and a special season for the Hogs continues. Cincinnati is just good, like objectionably good. Like you look at them, you watch them play, that is a good football team. And Ritter, their quarterback makes plays. Right, just always finds a way to make the right play.
Yeah, they're a good team.
So
they're not just a good AAC team. Like they pass the eye test of that's a really good football team.
Where I think I'll differ with some of you is I'm taking Indiana, and I'm gonna I think I might put money on them straight up. We've seen Ohio State go out there and lose to some of these teams. Right, think back to the teams they've lost to in this Ryan Day, Urban Meyer era, the Virginia Techs of the world. Penn State wasn't ranked when they lost to them a couple years ago. They lost to Purdue. Remember Purdue? That Purdue loss? Purdue and Virginia Tech were bad teams. Penn State ended up being a pretty good team that season, but they also lost to Michigan State in 2014. Like they lose these games sometimes. It always works out for them in the end, and I can't describe it. I can sit up here and tell you, hey, Indiana is great. They always stay on schedule. You can't tackle them in the backfield. You can't throw them off, make them go. They're long. They find ways to tackle you in the backfield, get you off schedule. I can tell you all of that. But really, it just feels like it's Indiana's time. Like once every 50 years, the sun shines on Indiana. This is that year for them. So I'm going to take Indiana in that one, and I'm going to take them straight up. Give me Green Bay over the Colts, like you guys are saying. Like, I just trust Aaron Rodgers more than Phillip Rivers at this point in time. I'm going to take the Rams because I made this pick before Rosa hit me with that dope knowledge right there that the Bucs only struggle against the Saints. And guess what? They're not playing the Saints, but I'll take the Rams. They're hot right now. I took Kent State over Akron. They were laying 26, so they ended up covering that 69-35. And I'm going to take Michigan minus the 10.
Why?
Explain that to me.
I think they've got it figured out. Once you get behind against Wisconsin, you can't. Like, that's it. You're done. I think defensively, though, they figured out the right mix. That secondary did not look as pathetic as it has in games past, and it's Rutgers, right? Like, Rutgers is not a good football team. You can't be out here losing to Rutgers. This is one of those back against the walls, come out swinging type of games for the Wolverines. And I think that this gets them right, where they win the rest of their games up until Ohio State and then.
It should have been against Wisconsin. They got run by Wisconsin last year. They should have been up for that one last
show
week.
that has spent as much time talking about the Michigan secondary as ours does.
Because they're so bad.
Off the board for me this week, I'm going with Auburn minus the 10 against Tennessee. I think Tennessee, it's just over for this season. And Auburn has looked good the last couple of weeks, and Bo Nix has looked great against LSU, and I think he could have the same sort of success against Tennessee, and Jared Garantano has just been awful. Also in the NFL, I'm going with Kansas City. Revenge game for the Chiefs. They're only given a touchdown in Las Vegas against the Raiders, and of course the big story this week is how the Raiders drove their bus around Arrowhead Stadium after the win.
Who cares?
Yeah, I'm with you on that pick, though. I think Kansas City is going to
roll.
I think they're going to try to embarrass them, because of all that happened
Kansas
before.
City's 15-4 now against the spread in their last 19 games. Did not cover last week in their win against Carolina, but they're coming out for a little revenge against the Raiders.
I got off the board. I got Florida.
It's a big number.
31.5, but they're playing Vanderbilt, and Florida scored 60+ on a good Arkansas defense last week. Florida's trying to prove something to the voters. They're trying to show people they're a powerhouse. They might score 100 against Vanderbilt.
Let's say they score
awful
40.
Okay. They're going to.
How many is Vanderbilt going to score?
None. They're going to have 40 points at halftime. Like, it's not going to be close. So I'll take that. I need to get my GCUs up. That's a good way to do it. My other pick, the Atlanta Falcons are playing the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
When Drew Brees has been hurt the last 13 years, something like that, when Teddy Bridgewater starts, undefeated. When anyone else has started, they've lost every game. Jameis Winston steps in. I've seen him a lot against the Falcons the last few years. I'm excited to see him this week. Falcons are getting 4.5 points. I'm going with the Dirty Birds. They're back.
I'm going to go with one of my own picks. I'm going to take the over 66 in Indiana and Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to score in the 50s. So then it comes down to, well, can Indiana score 2 touchdowns? And, yeah, you can score 2 touchdowns against Ohio State's defense. The Rutgers game, they got up so big in that Rutgers game that they just stopped playing, and that's how Rutgers kind of scored points late in that one. I don't think Ohio State's necessarily going to do that in this one. And then for my other one, I have UCLA plus 14 right here written down. And I'm also debating, do I just – Let's parlay this. Let's parlay.
All right.
3-teamer. We're going UCLA plus 14, Ohio State minus 10.5 in the first half, and Alabama minus 16.5 in the first half over Kentucky.
That was like the scene in
Let's parlay all 3 of them. UCLA, okay, so UCLA, that first week against Colorado, they turned it over 4 times in the first half, and it was just a disaster. After that, they played fine in that game. And then they came out last Sunday, and they beat the living hell out of Cal. And a Cal team who I think is pretty good and has a really good coach in Justin Wilcox. And they're playing Oregon. I don't know how much Oregon can score. I think UCLA can keep it within 2 touchdowns.
That was like that scene in The Hangover when Zach Galifianakis is going down the escalator and all of a sudden all the numbers appear and he's like figuring out the math and stuff.
Yeah.
When Roser figured out that parlay, that's what that was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 3-team parlay for a pick.
3-teamer, Ohio State first half, Alabama first half, and UCLA.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. There's your free 3-teamer this week on the Odds Couple.
Free teamer.
All right, that's going to do it for us here today. Thank you for watching the program or listening to the program today. We'll do it again next week. Special Thanksgiving edition of the Odds Couple next week. A lot of great matchups to talk about on the show, so hopefully you tune in again next week. For Lang, Roser, CJ, Robbie, Kimball, I'm Fish. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again next week here on the Odds Couple on Grind City Media.
listening to The Odds Couple from the American Home Shield Studio on GrindCityMedia.com. Tune in next week for more football handicapping with Rob Fisher and Lang Whitaker.